Rumor has it that JK has gotten emotional over someone going to the ER. There's a situation with JK and the Grammys and people talking about that, as well as people saying that V is not a good artist or no longer an artist. So I don't believe it's safe to say. Let's get into it. There's been some recent controversy or debate about something that has happened with V and his Instagram account. If you're not aware of what's going on with this, we need to get into the structure of Instagram and what you can do. So when you create an Instagram account, you're able to pick the category in which you fit into. It'll usually ask you what you do or what category you would like to fit into, whether that is an artist, a business owner, or I think there's just people who use it that aren't any of those categories, but I don't know what category that is. Now, of course, V, BTS, all of them, they're going to pick the category of musician, band, public figure, whatever. So keep this in mind. I'm going to talk about something else and then I will come back to this. This was very interesting because a lot of people had requested that V go into acting. He has done some things before acting-wise and he took a break from doing that, decided to focus on music, and there were a lot of people who definitely wanted him to give acting a try again or go back into it. After all, he does have a face for acting and he's actually really good at it too. So a lot of people are hoping to see him in another drama or whatever. However, I believe it was all of the members kind of coming out saying that they were very glued to this idea of coming back together as a musician, and they were glued to this idea that they want to come back in music and not come back as an actor or not come back as just like a celebrity. And when I say a celebrity, I mean like people who are maybe seen as like more of a socialite, where they go to all these red carpets and they take a lot of pictures with brands and they endorse the brands, but maybe aren't actually currently doing anything like music, acting, or anything like that. So essentially an influencer, but I don't really like to say that when they're actually a celebrity. And for a while, V's account had the word musician and band as his category. Apparently recently that has disappeared, and as of recording this, he allegedly doesn't have it, and then maybe he will put it back, I don't know. But the moment he took it off, people were definitely confused. Many were saying that he's not a good artist, or even that he's not an artist anymore at all. Now keep in mind, people notice this right away only because there are people who sit there and just refresh the page over and over again until something happens. And people do this for hours. So people noticed this right away, and a lot of people then started rumoring that he was giving up music or that he was going to leave BTS and start pursuing an acting career. This is a very interesting assumption when the CEO has already come out to say that they're talking about the BTS reunion. So obviously it makes very little sense for him to just give up on that when he has already signed a contract. Of course, I can't sit here and say exactly what the reason he would do something like this is, but we can make assumptions on what a reason could be. Sometimes it's not as cool to have a category, and sometimes it's just cool to have your name be there, and whatever people know you as is what they know you as. Personally for me, obviously I'm a digital creator or influencer, and I don't care if my profile says that on it. However, there are a lot of people that I know that would prefer to not have that status. They don't want to be known as a creator or an influencer. They just want to be known as maybe a celebrity or a guru or a thought leader. And so they just want to be known for their name without the industry tied to their name. So that's my assumption. I've seen many people take off that badge or that category simply just for that reason. And so that is my theory. That's my assumption. You can have your own, but this is what I think. There are a lot of rumors that float around on social media, and I think a lot of them are very interesting. What are the craziest rumors that I saw was one that was about Jimin and JK both being rushed to the hospital. There was a video that talked about just Jimin going to the hospital, while there was another video saying that both Jimin and JK were going to the hospital. The reason for the hospital visit that these videos alleged is because Jimin's mother was sick or something happened and they rushed to the ER. The story goes that an ambulance was seen rushing to their apartment, then picked up someone, and then Jimin and JK were then rushed off with the ambulance, and then people assumed that it was Jimin's mother. I think what irks me the most about this story and me seeing some people talk about it is the fact that I don't think that it's real, but there are no hate comments or people upset about that coverage. But when I talk about something that I know is real and I can back it up with sources, people just get upset. However, I guess I can understand what the issue is, because obviously if I'm talking about a negative reaction or something that's bad that's happening online, that is definitely a lot more upsetting than whatever the story about Jimin's mother is. However, there are a lot of holes in this Jimin's story, and I think what bothers me is I would like a lot of people to have a lot more critical thinking when it comes to some of these stories, and that includes stories that I report on as well. It's good to face things with a healthy sense of skepticism, and to look into things yourself, which is sometimes what the community doesn't do. Jimin and JK are not at home, they are at the camp, and I think they stay at the camp for a significant amount of time. And I don't know necessarily if they do come back on the weekends right now. I think they stay because they're currently, I believe, not even where they normally live. I believe they were shipped off to like the DMZ area, so I don't know if they would be able to come home on the weekends like they normally could. Second of all, seeing an ambulance and then seeing two celebrities rush off, why then make the assumption that this was one of the celebrities' mothers? Where did that assumption come from? Because they could be happening at the same time, but not related to each other. Like the two celebrities, JK and Jimin, could be rushing off somewhere else while there just happened to have been an ambulance. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have to be related to each other or happening with each other. They could just be two separate situations happening at the same time. The video also talks about Jimin and JK getting really emotional and saying that the reason why they were emotional is because one of their mothers is in the hospital. However, there's many reasons for someone getting emotional. And again, these things can happen at the same time, but not actually be related to each other. Because if you Google Jimin's mother in the ER, you will actually not see anything pop up. Nothing from any credible sources anyway. There has been also a situation with the Grammys, which I think is very interesting. So recently the Grammy nominations have come out, and the Grammys have released essentially who is within the nomination. A lot of people were really upset that BTS did not get a nomination, and so if you're not aware of how the nomination process works, basically the producers or anyone with connections to the Grammys that has worked on a specific song gets to submit that song for Grammy consideration. What then happens, the Grammys then decide what gets a nomination and then ultimately what wins. So a lot of people were really upset because it seemed like JK had submitted himself, at least that's what the general public thinks, and then that would mean that he submitted himself because he wanted to win and then did not win, and then JK must have been sitting there crying or whatever. While JK's album, Golden, was definitely very successful, I don't think he expected it to go anywhere or had any expectation that it would really do much, because this was an album that I think he wanted to just release for his fans, and it was an album that he couldn't really fully promote because he knew that he was going to go to the military anyway. So yeah, it would have been great if that album or song on the album did win a Grammy, but obviously it wasn't expected. I don't think he expected to win, so of course if he didn't expect to win, why did he submit himself? Well, first of all, he didn't submit himself. Usually the label of the producer, as I said earlier. But even if he did, just because you submit yourself doesn't automatically mean that you're expecting to win. It's difficult to explain this or try to connect it to something that I think people who are not in the industry could relate to. Because obviously when you take a test or when you apply to a college or when you do anything and you submit something, you're hoping that you actually get it. But it's a little bit different in the entertainment industry, where artists get submitted to about 10,000 different events, awards, and promotional things. Most of those things will be rejected. Like, even if most of them are not rejected, the celebrity can't actually do all of them, even if they were to say yes. So it's expected that they will get rejected from some of these things. If the Grammys are taking consideration, why wouldn't you just submit your song anyway? Like, why not? You have nothing to lose, and they probably just thought, let's try it. There's no loss here. Many people took the loss of him not getting the nomination as the Grammys insulting him, with people saying specifically that they felt like the Grammys were not ever going to pick a K-pop artist, and it was clear that they were only using the members for clout, and now when the members can't actually be there and promote the Grammys won't even give them a nomination. And people were upset because they felt like JK might really be emotional about this, but honestly, I think he wouldn't care. The Grammys and any award show or TV show does use their artists for media attention. 100%, this is not anything that they try to hide, and this is not anything that any of them would even be ashamed to admit. The point of a TV show, the point of anything that is shown in the media, is to get views and attention. Yeah, so they will ask celebrities to come on and to be a part of the show just to get attention. When people use the whole, they're just using this person for clout, it never makes any sense to me, because that's the whole point of why TV or newspaper or anyone who's trying to be a media company is doing. Do you think that all of these articles who are doing interviews with any of the BTS members, they're doing it just because it's fun? They're doing it because they're aware that by writing this article, doing this interview with them, that their news site is going to look more legit, is going to get praise, but also a lot of attention. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for yourself. Comment right here. Love you. Bye.